And it's very sillily done with the rabbits, but what we did was we analyzed what makes projects on innovation die. And what we found was there were 5 bottleneck places. And every organization has got its own favorite sort of death ground for these poor rabbits. The first one is what we call creating the opportunity, which is how we organize ourselves to create, capture, invent, improve ideas. Some organizations score really low on that. If that's what you score lowest on, if that's the weakest point, just concentrate on that. Other organizations come with loads of ideas, but they don't turn into money. That was the question you're asking me. They don't get the focus right. They don't check that it's a great idea to the colleagues. It will make money. It really can be done in line with all the other things which are happening in the organization strategically or in terms of alignment. It is what the customer wants, and actually it's the best thing to do. Those are what we call the 5 bunny hops. In other words, that process of achieving focus is making sure that all those things work. If they don't, your innovation probably won't work. The third area we discovered is around engaging commitments. A nightmare. You said you go back and people say, hey, you've been on a course. So how do you get people to engage when something is new? The fourth bit is making it actually possible. What's the right scale? One of the things organizations like to do is dream big, because then you can get to the board and get approval. Most innovations don't start off at 3 billion. They start off at £100, and then they work their way up. So getting the scale right. Also in that area is working out whether you should do it, someone else should do it, whether you should protect it with a patent, all those questions. And then the last bit is actually execution. There is a big nightmare with innovation execution, because normal execution, most of us know how to do. We know how to run a project. We make the plan, we follow the plan. Innovation doesn't work that way. You have to sort of make it up a bit as you go along and discover things and change them. So I think the thought here is I'm going to focus mostly on the creating the opportunity part of the innovation journey, because we haven't got time, basically. And in that area, in particular, I'm going to focus on one specific aspect, and I'm going to leave this for you as homework once we go away, which is, where do ideas come from? Where do they come from? And I'll explain it, and over lunch have a think, because when we come back, we're going to explore how you deal with these different areas. It will have happened, sorry, this is just tools to go with that. It will have happened to you that you've seen things like, I don't know, fashion, you've seen things like people sleeping in a cabin, new Apple stuff, and using technology. Where do ideas come from? Well, we eat every day. After a while, it gets boring. So people know we have to eat. So somebody says, hey, how could we do a different dish with like that, with a tomato on the top, or pile it, or slice it, and we have many celebrity chefs. All they're doing is finding creative ways of doing what we have to do anyway. There are also situations where you've come up with something. Your organization, let's take your organization, has come up with a new widget which does something or other and definitely can research, I don't know, make up, okay? New program, new product. And you go, who the hell should we sell this to? I've called that a gift voucher, because it's like, you give the person the gift voucher and you have no idea what they're going to buy with it. The other one which you'll also see is in the old days when they had penny farthing bicycles, the ones with the big wheels and the small wheels, and brave people would get on them and ride, and then they'd fall off and they'd die, okay, because it was dangerous, okay? And then somebody thought, why can't we have the wheel inside the wheel? And came up with the gear. They took something which existed already, and then they improved it. And this will have happened to you. You've got a friend you want to buy a really nice present for, a nice Christmas present, and you really don't know what they need. So if they're a really good friend, months before, you start looking at what they're up to, listening to their conversation to find out which films they've talked about, whether there's any music they want. You really investigate what their real needs are. And that's where ideas come from. And I've sort of put them into 4 different categories. Inventing a new way to satisfy a human need. We eat every day, new way of doing it. Discovering a need and then finding a way to satisfy it. Discovering a technology and finding a way to use it, and then looking at something which exists and making it better.